I'm George Miller. I'm Director of Business Development at Fermata Energy, and we are the leader in vehicle-to-grid services, using electric vehicles as batteries when they're parked to push power into the grid or into buildings as it's most profitable and most valuable for resilience and other needs. Yeah, so we like to think of a tale of two parking lots when we think about EV charging. So if you end up putting down EV chargers that are only single directional and you have a few chargers there, you're going to end up with a lot more grid upgrades that are required. You're going to end up with more peaky demand, more congestion on the grid, and less resilience, because if the power goes down, you'll have the inability to drive your vehicles. As well as a lot more emissions, because with that high peaks in demand, you're going to put on peaker plants and require a lot of very carbon intensive energy sources. On the flip side, if you put in chargers that are bidirectional, then you end up with less congestion on the grid, because you're able to push power as it's most efficient using these distributed energy resources. You end up with lower peak demand because you can power your buildings from your vehicles when you're not using them, and you end up with less emissions because you have overall a flatter energy demand curve and energy supply curve that comes out of that. We have been seeing a lot of climate events recently, and if you look at some of the Texas storms that are happening, with EVs, that would only magnify the issues. You'd end up with people stranded as well as power being out. If you have bidirectional EVs though, you can then power those buildings, you can share power, and you end up with a much more resilient grid as well as resilient community, given the capacity to share that power and utilize it in the way that's most valuable for that moment. Yeah, so the benefits are different for each different location and for different sizes of vehicles. At this stage, we're able to provide value to commercial buildings in pretty much any utility market you can think of. With demand charge management, we're able to save anywhere between $1,500 a year up to, in San Diego, somewhere upwards of $12,000 a year on one 20 kilowatt charger. Just doing demand charge management. So seeing when your building is going to peak and then pushing power from your vehicle to reduce that peak. In other markets, California as well as some of the northeastern markets, you're seeing utilities start to monetize these distributed energy resources through demand response programs. And in those, you're actually able to get a check from the grid, from the utility company that pays you for pushing power out at the right times. And we've been able to make upwards of $4,000 in the Connected Solutions program up in the Northeast, and that seems to be coming into other utility zones that are piloting our technology today. Yeah, Fermata has been in this market for over a decade. We saw this as a key element for electric vehicles from the get-go, and so with that we saw the Nissan Leaf coming forth back in 2013 with bidirectional capabilities, and developed a charger which was the first charger to get UL 1741 and 9741 certified. That was about 3 years ago, and since then we've been the first to deploy commercially across the country and to make those profitable. So those numbers I'm talking about are not theoretical, they are actual projects where customers are getting checks from National Grid and others, as well as reduced bills from the utility that we can show, and that's really exciting for them. And last but not least, we are the first to get approved by a major automotive OEM. So Nissan announced just back in September that using Fermata Energy to do bidirectional charging does not void their battery warranty. And that just shows that we are, through our technology and our experience, able to understand how to take care of these batteries so that we don't accelerate degradation in any significant way. We can actually start to help preserve the battery health with our technology.